What is a date? The dictionary defines it as a social or romantic appointment or engagement. Our goal is to examine how these engagements and interactions develop in the 21st century.
Have you ever used Tinder?
Yes.
What is it to you?
I think that it's just silly.
Have you ever used Tinder?
I have.
What is Tinder to you?
Just some app just to mess around with.
Tinder. I've seen it. I've never actually used it, but one of my friends showed it to me. It's just where it shows a person's picture, I think it shows a little information about them. And you can swipe right if you think they're cute or if you want to go out with them. Swipe left if you don't. That's about all I know.
Have you ever used Tinder?
No.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you tell us what Tinder is?
Tinder?
Yeah.
No. I don't use Tinder.
You don't use Tinder?
I don't, but it's kind of like a dating app. A lot of people don't use it for dating. They use it for hookups.
Oh.
I mean, I don't use it. I don't choose to do that.
It's an app on a cell phone where you see a picture of a person and then you either choose to swipe left or swipe right depending on your first opinion of them when you get to see their picture. And that's actually how I met my boyfriend.
Really? Okay, so you have used Tinder.
Yeah.
Could you tell us maybe about what it was like meeting your boyfriend on Tinder?
It was definitely a struggle because there's a lot of weird people on there. And there's all sorts of people on there. And I see people walking around campus that are on Tinder.
Yeah.
I think more people use it than they're willing to admit. I think it's used for more hookups than it is for actually dating.
Yeah.
But I think if you're just trying to be social and get out there, then it's a good way to do that.
The first time I saw Nicole on Tinder, my mind was blown. I could not believe how beautiful she was, and everything about her profile, her likes, her interests were very similar to mine, and she had a kid, and I had 2 kids at the time also. So we just had a lot in common, and I was hoping and praying that she would swipe right also.
My first impression when I saw Dave was obviously he was hot, so there's that. He also had twin boys that were older. I never dated anyone that was actually older, but I wanted to date someone older because I had a kid from a previous marriage, but I was really excited when we matched and I got a message from him.
I asked her out, obviously, and I had tickets to a jazz game. It wasn't for, I think, 3 or 4 days later. We didn't really talk until our date after that. I kind of liked to play hard to get and not be super available because chicks dig that. So but I wanted to make sure that she still knew that I was thinking about her, and so maybe once a day, maybe once every other day, I would send her a message and just say, "Hey, hope your day's going well. I'm excited for the jazz game."
I was really nervous to meet Dave. I had been on a few previous Tinder dates that were a little interesting. So, and like he said, he would barely ever text me. It was so annoying. It would just be like, "Hey, hope you're having a good day. See ya." So I couldn't really respond. And on our first date, when he did show up, he was in this nice button-up shirt, and I was just in this jazz jersey with leggings. So
Which is the best thing you could have possibly
it was
worn.
so embarrassing.
So our first date was really awesome. It was a jazz game, and we bought really cheap seats, and I was a little embarrassed that I was taking her in such bad seats, but she was totally cool with it, and I was impressed with that because it just showed that she wasn't super high maintenance. And we're in the upper ball.
I hadn't been this excited about a guy in a really long time. But after the Jazz game, we went to this graveyard. And that was the first time that he kissed me romantic, right?
Well, you gotta explain why we were there.
I know, I will. But it's like in Salt Lake, there's supposed to be this like devil worshiper that sits on a headstone or whatever. And people drive by it all the time. So we went to go see if it was real or not. And before we got out of the car, he just grabbed my face like this and was like, I can't take it anymore. And then he just kissed me, and it was awesome. After that, we pretty much spent every single moment together. Literally, I don't even think we've been more than a day apart. Maybe 2 days in the last 2.5 years that we've been apart. Eventually, we moved in together, and this little munchkin was born 9 months later. This is Carter. And luckily, because of Tinder, we were able to have this cute baby and mix our families, and it's been awesome. I don't know if I would have ever met Dave without Tinder because he's way older than me, and you're 9 years older than me. But I wouldn't have ever pictured myself getting married to someone who had already had kids, but going through Tinder, it helped me be more open to dating people who were older and more mature and have a family of their own. And we got to mix our families and create our own family. Can you say hi, Karkar? You say hi.
If you swipe right on me, I can be your Tinder fella. You can be my Tinderella, and we can have a Tinder swella time.
All right. Looks like we got a first victim. Excuse me. We're doing a little Tinder experiment. Can we borrow you guys? All you have to do is take a look at some of our fellas over there, and you can either swipe right or swipe left.
Are they swipe right material?
That's debatable. There are kittens.
Ooh. I'm totally in that.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. More info?
I like to play sports, and I'm ridiculously sexy.
We have Mario Kart in common, so I'm gonna swipe right.
Yeah!
Can I get more info?
Soccer player, used to go to gymnastics, and a computer tech.
Can I get more photos? Yeah, I'll swipe right. Can I get another profile picture? Can I get some info?
You don't know me!
I'm gonna have to swipe left. Can I get more info?
I'm a super nerd, and I like to play sports.
Job in common though. Awkward. Can I get another photo?
I like to party.
Just swipe left. Can I have another profile picture? Can I have some info?
While maybe blonde-haired and blue-eyed, he's an extreme nerd.
I'll swipe right.
Woo!
Coffee. Can I get more pictures? Right. Oh.
I love how they're all named Jake.
Jake the cat. Jake. Okay. I get more pictures.
We like to party!
Oh god, this stuff is great.
I don't know, they know each other.
Just swipe left. Could you tell us what dating is?
Making plans to spend time together.
Two people doing a planned activity that's.
And if they both feel that it's a date.
A movie at home with popcorn could be a date.
Participating in various activities to get to know people, to find out if being in a relationship with them would be beneficial and if it would be enjoyable for people.
What is a date to you guys?
I want to hear this.
Okay. To me, a date is making plans to spend time together.
And I think the big part for her is the plans. For me, it's spending time together. Maybe like doing something outside of the house, but you know, a movie at home with popcorn could be a date. Of course, she doesn't care about the popcorn, but
I like movies.
she likes the movies. So see, she wins and I win.
What's the difference between hanging out and a date?
Hanging out is being in the same place. A date is purposely spending time with someone.
To me, hanging out is something that is not necessarily planned. People end up in the same place, and you are there with no specific individual. If a date is that you've asked somebody to go do something with you so that you can spend quality time together and get to know that person better, or just spending quality time with them.
And what do you mean by quality time?
Where your focus is on them, where you're not focusing on the distractions of your life. So for me, you know, your cell phone needs to be put away, work needs to be put away, and you just have time to focus on each other.
What are your expectations for a date?
Anything goes. There's no specific parameters. You can do anything for a date.
For me, an expectation for a date is a good night kiss. But that's because I've been dating the same woman for 30 plus years.
Do you believe it's easier to date now or 20 years ago?
Now.
And why do you say that?
You mean us or people in general?
In general.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think it's changed. I think attitudes have changed, and I think that mentalities have changed, but we used to go do group things just like the young people today do. And so I don't think it's any harder. I think it's a mindset that people have.
I think it's still as scary, and there's still that fear of rejection, and that's never going away. That's
Yeah.
just part of it.
Every time I got turned down, I had they don't like me moment. But I got over it, and I went and asked somebody else until I found somebody that did like me and that would go.
What was the norm when it came to meeting people when you were younger and still single? How did people meet?
Well, it wasn't online.
No.
It was usually school, work, church, gatherings of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's really changed other than the online stuff, which I know there's some people that meet online and live happily ever after.
Can you describe your ideal date?
You get to answer this one first.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Going somewhere with your mom.
That's it?
There you go.
So there's no preferred activity?
I think that changes depending on your circumstances in life. I mean, you know, we both like to go to the mountains, we both like to go out and hike, we both like to be out in nature, we both like to fish, and Mom likes to go to movies. I really don't like to go to movies, and so for me, that's not an ideal date. For her it might be, but you don't talk much in a movie.
Just being somewhere with Dad that is away from everybody else from distractions to where it's just he and I together.
How would you normally ask someone, like, for a date?
How would I?
Like, your normal circumstance.
Oh, how I would ask someone? I don't know. I don't usually ask people.
How would you typically ask someone on a date then?
I'm a little different. I don't like to just go up to girls and ask for their number and then ask them on a date.
Yeah.
I like to get to know them first.
A normal circumstance, I would probably go up to them and ask them out, person to person.
Just walk up to her and just ask her if she wants to go out for like dinner or something.
I don't know, maybe just through friends, maybe at
Yeah?
like a mutual acquaintances party or at a dance or something like that.
I would probably just start up a conversation and then go from there, hopefully.
Usually I'll talk to him as a friend. If I see him in class or see him on campus, I'll talk to him the first time, just being friendly, being nice. If I see him again, and I can sense a connection or some type of, feeling that, they're interested, I'm interested, then I'll start talking to them a little bit more. And sooner or later, then I'll ask them to date if you both feel comfortable.
Before you guys started dating, how did you typically get to meet people?
I talk to strangers, I guess. Like.
And I don't know. I didn't really meet a whole lot of people, but I had a couple of groups of friends who were pretty big in that they would invite their friends to hang out with us, and so I would meet new people that way.
Okay. And how did you two meet?
In a parking lot.
At night. In a dark corner.
So basically we went to a dance, and we both showed up at pretty close to the same time, and she was sitting in the parking lot and I parked next to her and I was blasting the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, and the particular song was the Pina Colada song.
And it had been stuck in my head all day, and so I thought it was funny that he pulled up listening to that song and like screaming out loud to it.
And so we got out of the car and she commented on it, and we talked a little bit up to the door, and that's how we met.
What makes a social interaction count as a date?
If it's two people doing a planned activity, that's
And if they both feel that it's a date.
Yeah.
So, what's the difference between hanging out and a date?
Hanging out is like casual, and a lot of times it's with more than just that person. Usually if you're spending alone time with a person, I feel more like it's a date than hanging out, but that's me. What about you?
Yeah. I don't know.
So how many dates until you're in a relationship?
Totally depends on the relationship. There is no number of dates. We technically didn't go on any official dates.
We went on some like semi-casual. It was somewhere floating between hanging out and dating, because there's like that weird, like
middle
we
ground.
don't know if we're interested in each other kind of thing yet.
Yeah.
And
or one
so-
of us would think it was a date, and the other one was just like, no, we're just hanging out.
Yeah. So it was. I don't know. Yeah, it just depends on the connection that you feel with that other person, and if they reciprocate, and how quickly that comes to light. So.
And do you think it's easier to meet someone now or like 50 years ago?
I'd say now.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot more opportunity for social interaction in a casual, non-threatening way, and so it gives an opportunity for you to branch out and become acquainted with more people, and so it keeps options open, whereas communication types were significantly less 50 years ago, and so the expansion of communication I think makes it easier to meet people.
Okay. And Amber, how would you describe a perfect date?
It doesn't require money. Money is fine, It can be just something that you are happy doing together. It can be like going on a walk or blowing bubbles, or both at the same time, while laughing at some unicyclists down the road. Yeah, I don't know. Just, if you're both happy doing it and you both feel like it's a date, then yeah.
And Ethan, what would be the perfect date for you?
Perfect date. For me, the perfect date is when I get to spoil the person that I'm going on a date with. So, while a lot of girls are always like, yeah, you don't need money to go on a date, I really like to spend money on my dates because that's one of the ways that I feel like I can give. And so, when I get to take them somewhere that I really like to eat, or that go do something that I really enjoy doing, and sometimes it costs money, but when I get to do that, I feel like I'm accomplishing everything that I want to with the date, to make that other person feel special.
So how do you two meet in the middle? Because you both describe like polar opposites on the spectrum of dating.
We don't.
Yeah. Take turns with the different types of dates.
Yeah.
Okay. And how's that working out?
I could be a lot better at the easy and whimsical dates, because in my mind, like, to have it be like the kind of date that I want it to be, I have to go out and do something elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But
when you're a college student, you don't always have money.
Exactly,
and
and
so
I
usually we end up sitting on a couch instead.
Yeah, so I need to work on that a little bit, but when we do stuff like that, it's fun. It's just that like my mentality is different, and so I don't think of ideas that match that, and so we don't go on as many dates as we would like. So it obviously needs some work, but that's what relationships are, right?
Thank you.
Awesome.